All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're diving deep into some pretty dark and fascinating cosmic mythology. We're going to unpack the ideas behind a figure called the Crimson Judge and the stagnant, fear-based universe he decided to completely shatter.
So, to set the scene, our story begins in a place the source material calls a celestial mausoleum. This quote just nails the atmosphere of the old heavens. It wasn't a place of wonder, it was a gilded cage where even the light itself felt stale and oppressive. But what kept it that way? So, let's start by really understanding the problem here. We're looking at an entire universe that's trapped in a state of stagnant obedience. It's a system that was built on purpose to stop change and crush any spark of real vitality. And at the absolute core of this stagnation is something called the Liturgy of Error. Now, this isn't just a list of rules, it's a whole suffocating system. Think of it as a culture-wide addiction to a single official version of truth. It's a system that paralyzes the soul and stops it from evolving, a process the text calls becoming. Basically, it's a world where the fear of the unknown is weaponized to keep everything and everyone perfectly in line.
To really get this, the source gives us this incredible story, the parable of the broken glass. So, picture a civilization living in this gray, lifeless valley, and they worship a giant wall of glass. For them, that smooth, perfect reflection is reality. That wall is the physical form of the Liturgy of Error. It's that one official truth that gives them comfort, a comfort they value more than anything. But then, of course, someone shows up who changes everything, a traveler who doesn't bow to the glass. And the description is just so vivid, right? A cloak like a fresh wound, a hammer forged from the silence of a dead star. You can tell right away this is not a savior here to bring peace. This is an agent of violent, and maybe necessary, transformation. And he does the one thing that is completely unthinkable. He shatters the wall. He detonates that single authorized version of reality into countless fragments, creating what's called a liquid mirror. He basically liberates the very idea of becoming from the grip of the liturgy. And the real insight here is that stagnation isn't natural, it's a system of control. And any system can be broken. So this brings us to the big question. Who is this traveler? This section is all about his incredible transformation, how he went from being a simple servant of the old order into something completely new, something sovereign. So, who was this guy, this hammer of violent change? Well, the source material reveals he wasn't always a rebel. And honestly, his origin story is the absolute key to understanding his entire philosophy. You see, he started out as the messenger of the void, also known as the Pale Rider. He was an obedient servant, an angel of death for a cosmic power called the Demiurge. But he rebelled, and he didn't just fight his old master. He bathed in its sonic screech, using that agonizing high-frequency sound to literally wash away a destiny he never even chose for himself. He came out the other side completely transformed, the Crimson Judge, a cosmic executioner, the sovereign architect of the mirror. And that color, crimson, is so important. It's not just for looks. It's a philosophical statement. It represents an ontological victory. To put it simply, he won the war for his own existence. He is now what the text calls the active nihilist made flesh. Now, that doesn't mean he believes in nothing. No, it means he believes the old rules are meaningless, and he actively works to tear them down to make space for something much, much stronger. So, having become this new kind of being, the judge brings with him a brand new philosophy. His judgment has nothing to do with the old world's dusty morality of good versus evil. It's based on something way more visceral, way more demanding: vitality. This Nietzschean idea is the bedrock of how he sees the universe. The judge doesn't punish things for failing. He exposes their lack of vital intensity. He weighs a soul not against some arbitrary good or evil, but against the sheer density of its own will to power. So if something is already collapsing from its own weakness, his job is just to give it a little push. And this all sets up the core conflict of his philosophy. The old world of Stasis was all about a fixed identity. You were trapped by your name, your past, your reflection in the glass. But the new world of becoming is about non-correspondence, this radical freedom to constantly redefine who you are, to make sure you are never a prisoner of your own history.
This whole idea extends to how you live. Stasis offered horizontal comfort, staying safe down in the valley with everybody else, never risking a fall. But becoming demands a vertical ascent. It's all about pulling your soul upward, reaching for a state of divine frenzy, aiming for heights that mediocre beings just can't survive. And finally, this completely reshapes reality itself. Stasis was built on that single truth of the glass wall, a fragile, false sense of security. But becoming thrives in the infinite schism of that new liquid mirror. In this new world, truth isn't something that's given to you. It's a weapon you have to build yourself from all the broken shards. So the big takeaway is this. The judge's philosophy replaces the fake comfort of a single truth with the terrifying power of self-creation. So, how is anyone supposed to navigate this new fractured reality? Well, the judge actually provides the tools, the alphabet of rupture. And these aren't just symbols. The source calls them living ruptures in the fabric of existence, designed to enforce his entire philosophy. The first one is the rune of non-correspondence. Its whole purpose is to dissolve the very idea of a fixed identity. The insight here is basically a direct command. You have to destroy the labels that define you before they become your prison, your tomb. Next up, the rune of the vertical ascent. You can think of this one as a force that literally changes your spiritual gravity, constantly pulling you upward. And the insight is pretty stark. It's totally unforgiving. You either climb towards your highest potential, your divine frenzy, or you get crushed by your own stagnation. There is no middle ground here. And the last tool is the rune of the infinite schism. This is the one that keeps reality fragmented, that turns truth into a puzzle. And the insight is a call to action for what the text calls the sovereign mind. You have to take the chaos that drives other people insane and learn how to assemble it into a weapon. So, where does all this lead? Well, the judge isn't offering a return to the comfort of that old world. Not at all. His final offer is something else entirely. It's an invitation to what he calls the abyss. And this slide really just lays it all out, doesn't it? It's the final paradigm shift. The old habits, worshiping a single image, relying on others to protect you, those are gone. In their place are the new realizations, embracing a constant state of becoming, exercising your own will to power, and seeing the abyss not as destruction, but as the ultimate freedom for the strong. The liturgy of error has been silenced for good. The final verdict on the old universe was that it was guilty of mediocrity. So the question this whole thing leaves us with is a really challenging one. In a world where truth is shattered, are you going to be a passive shard of a broken past, or will you be an architect of a new reality? Because in the world of the Crimson Judge, only the strong survive the mirror.